This old skid steer is finally telling me it's time to rebuild all the hydraulic cylinders. They're all starting to weep and leak, so we're going to jump on that. First step is to loosen the hydraulic nuts, the nuts on the cylinders. So I've got some pig mat here taped on here so that I can put a big pipe wrench on these. So with this kind of thing is you almost want it to curl around it a little bit. All right, keep going with that. Put your weight at the very end of the pipe wrench. Get a bigger wrench on. So once you get it on there like that, you open it up like this. You want to push here first, keep it that way so that when it starts pivoting, you don't lose your back grip. And then, so you want to open it up like you were doing, and then push on the very top of the jaw. There you go, like that. Catch it. All right, go ahead and get this pin out. Oh, I see. The whole thing just folded that way. There's our first rod. I'm going to put this back in here with the pin so we can get that nut off. Man, look at how worn the pin is. That's where the label's from. That's part of it. There we go. It's like there's an O-ring right here. Sits down in the groove of this piston here. Just like that. It goes down like that. And there was definitely some thread locker, probably blue. And then there's your problem. So we'll get those fixed. And then I'm going to clean up this nut. There we go. There's rod number 2. there's our second one. Put this nut back on here. We're just going to leave these right here to dangle. Here is one of our cylinders. Let's just see if we got all the parts. So that'll be our dust seal. That's going to be the main seal. Then that has a backer ring and an O-ring. Pretty sure it's these two. That's everything for that. Got that little O-ring there. Here we've got the wear band. That'll be there. And then there's a flat ring and then the actual seal. And that's it. All right. Many times when I'm doing this on this seal in here, if it's not falling apart, which most of them are, this one's not, I just try and break it. Unless I absolutely need it. It's very difficult to get this one out without damaging it. So it is damaged, but just comparing the two, they look identical other than different color. So that's great. The wiper. So the wiper is a style that fits down into a groove. So yeah, those look great. All right, that thing is all disassembled, so we'll get that ready for cleaning. We're going to clean this. We're going to file any of these burrs. We're going to run a tap through this hole here where the set screw goes. That bearing. Wear band off. Yep, they look great. And this one can be tough. Many times I damage it, but it doesn't really matter when you're replacing it. You know how many times I've stabbed myself in the hand doing that? A lot. There's that, and then there's another little, it's not an O-ring, it's just like a flat square O-ring. It could be an O-ring, but for whatever reason they decided to use these. Everything is disassembled. We'll get it all clean. Feels great, looks great. Yeah, I'm happy with it. Sometimes you find stuff like this where the end of this cylinder has just kind of been beat right around that seal there, right around basically that's the outer wiper. What I do is I typically just take files, and I file it all smooth. I go in here and I file anything that can cut a seal and try and make it so that any damage is not going to ruin the new seals. The main reason I do that is because you're never going to make it perfect unless you buy a new one. And 9 times out of 10, you're not going to buy a new one. And so the main goal is, number one, you don't want to scratch the actual rod at all. And speaking of that, there's a little bit of damage to this rod. I'm going to show you how I kind of sand it down, smooth it out, and make it so that it's not going to cut the new seals. But number two, you don't want to damage the seals as they go in, because what that's going to cause is an almost immediate leak. Now this is kind of around the wiper, which its main job is keeping dirt and debris from getting down into the main seal. This main seal that goes right down in there, this does most of the work. This is what literally keeps the fluid in the cylinder. And so the wiper seal on the outside is what keeps dirt and debris from getting down close to that so that it doesn't rot it out fast and get destroyed. So we'll get all this kind of filed up, cleaned out. We'll get all four of, or both of the pistons and both of the gland ends all ready to rock and roll. So on one of these cylinders, for the bucket tilt, I had to really hardcore heat this area. I could not get this. There's a set screw that should go in there. It should basically look like this. Right in there, you've got a threaded hole for a little set screw. And that set screw pushes against a nylon plug. It should go in like that, it should come out like that. But this one, I mean, there's no threads left, but the hole is not bigger than the tap that it should fit in. So I found this really crappy tap that I had. It's the right size, and it's kind of all rusty. I just don't care about it. So we're gonna try and drill this out a little bit and try and run that tap through it. All right, give it a little lube. See if this will take a tap. Slowly but surely, we're getting a little thread in there. If this doesn't work, I'll just drill it out bigger and make it a larger set screw. All right, let's see if a set screw will fit. Beautiful. That'll do what I need it to do. There we go. There's our threads. I kept the same size too. So I wasn't quite sure if I was going to have to drill it out for a bigger, but I was able to use the same exact size set screw. I'll have to get a new one, but this is one from one of the other cylinders. Should work perfect. And right below it goes a little nylon plug. And they look like this. So this is a nylon plug kit from Hercules Sealing Products. They sell all kinds of stuff for hydraulics, but this plug kit has all kinds of different sizes of nylon plugs. So pretty sure it's going to be 1/4 inch like that one. So what happens is you basically take the nut, put this down in the hole, and then you thread this down over the top of it. And what that does is it allows the actual set screw to not put pressure and actual metal-to-metal contact with the actual other side, the threads on the actual barrel. And so it locks it in nice and tight, and you don't have to worry about ruining the threads on the barrel. So totally pumped we were able to save that. I did not know if it was going to be savable, if I was going to have to drill it out bigger, but it worked, so I'm good with it. All right, here's the rod for that cylinder, and it's in pretty dang good shape. Other than all of these blue circles are essentially little spots where there's a dent or a ding or something that I can feel. And so what we're going to do is we're going to basically sand them smooth. All right, I use a few different products for this when I'm kind of trying to clean up a cylinder. One of them is 320 grit emery cloth. And then we've got 400 grit wet, dry sandpaper. I also use 220 grit sandpaper when I really need to get into something. And then I finish it off with this really fine, not even sure what it's called. What is this stuff called? Micro finishing film. So this is a 260L micro finishing film. Not sure exactly how that's rated, but it's really fine. I also have some Scotch-Brite that we use for the same thing, trying to clean it up. So we'll start with like this one there. There's a few bigger ones right in this area. And we'll just kind of, I'm going to go ahead and start with this 400 because I think it's going to work the best. So that ding right there is kind of what I'm referring to. I can feel that with my finger. It's not very big. I just get rid of that line. It's not very big, but it's got a little sharp edge, and that could cut a new seal real quick. So we're going to try and make that go away. This rod is an easy one to damage because it's right down there by the bucket, and so you could easily have something fall over the bucket. You could be angling your bucket down and have something fall on it, or going up against something where you have your bucket tilted, coming forward and you hit it. You want to stay as fine as you can because this chrome, you want to try and save that. That's really what you're after. Any dents or dings, you'd rather have a dent that was recessed than one that was at the top. A recessed one is just going to keep a little bit of oil in it every time it goes into the cylinder. A raised one is going to put a nick in a seal every time it goes into the cylinder or goes past the seals. Right at this spot, we're going to go down to 220. When you go down this far in grit, you have to come back up with the corresponding higher grits to bring this back down to smooth. Almost there. I can almost not feel it. There's still going to be a little spot there, but I can barely catch my finger on it. All right, this is the other rod. I was cleaning it up, and if you look, you see that dent? That is a dent that has taken the chrome off. So I've got it sanded smooth, so it's not going to affect, it's not raised, but there is that recess there. So we're going to do the classic repair. We're going to use some CA glue or super glue. And we're going to put it in there, let it dry, and we'll sand it over. This is 60-second, so it should be quick drying. So we'll just give this a shot. And there's a few other areas we're going to do as well. Right there. I've got the glue basically in all of the spots that there are dings. There's little ones. We're going to let that fully set up. Then we'll gently sand it smooth and hopefully we get it right first time. If not, we'll do it again. So while we wait for that, we're going to start rebuilding the actual cylinder, piston, and the gland. So if we start with, this one will probably be the easiest to start with. We'll get that band right around there. You don't want it twisting. Okay. There we go. that is done. For this end, so you always want the flanged end or the open end that has that groove facing pressure. So this is the outside, so pressure is coming from that way. So we want this to go in like this. If you haven't seen these before, I've used them before, but you basically put the two metal ends in there and you twist it until you make a kidney bean out of the seal. Sometimes that happens. So I got this kit from Hercules. I actually think we need a smaller one, not a bigger one. So if we want to go from the top, we want it like this. Drop this over. And you kick these around. Like so. Make your little kidney bean. You reach it down in there, you kind of wiggle, wiggle, wiggle. Now, if you notice, I have it kind of in there. It's in the groove. So now what you do is you let it go. Pull the tool out. You just kind of push down at an angle. And you kind of work it in there. And boom, there we have our new seal in. Yeah. Just like that. This one rides up under a lip here. Usually what I do is I kind of just work them in a little bit at a time. Like that. And that'll be captured in there, and that'll ride. That's the actual wiper. So now on this, we've got, again, you want your O-ring towards the pressure. And this little flat washer, this flat backer ring, has a groove in it. And it's flat on this side. So the groove will basically be where the O-ring sits in. So we want this in first. Make sure I didn't get it turned around. Nope, got our groove facing the right way. There, got our O-ring in, got our backer ring in, dust seal, main seal. So yeah, we're good to go. That one is rebuilt, ready to put back on the rod. Same thing on this one. All right, so the super glue I used must have been old. It did not even dry at all. So we're gonna do a different technique. I'm gonna try fingernail polish clear coat. It's a top coat, it's a no chip. That's a good thing. I don't want chips, so that's what we're gonna go with. I have tried other fingernail polishes before, never tried a clear, but we're gonna give this a shot. So I raided my wife's fingernail polish cabinet again, and this is what I ended up with. So I'm just gonna put just a thin coat on that. I'm gonna kind of go around any of the little spots where there's like little chips. We'll just add a little bit. I've cleaned it again really nicely, so that this should adhere well. Almost like I know what I'm doing. That is dried. We're going to use some acetone. We're going to wipe off real gently. Just a little bit. We're going to try and keep it smooth. You want to kind of just rub it until it's just going right over it. That did not work very well. That's normally how I do it when I put fingernail polish inside like lettering on things. That didn't work the greatest. I'm actually going to use some of this real fine paper, and we're going to see if that makes any difference. It actually works pretty well. I can't even feel that little dent. I think sanding is the way to go, not the acetone. It's starting to pour outside, kind of a flash flood. Or not flash flood, but a kind of a sudden rain. Yeah, all those dings, I can't even feel them anymore. I see them. Amazing. I like it. I redid that. Got a little piece of that finishing film. A little oil on it. So much better. A little bit of high spot right there. That one is just slightly there. Quite a bit better though. All these on the end, I can't feel them at all. All right, let's reassemble these rods. So we're going to take some of this wonderful hydraulic oil stabilizer from Lucas. You just want something sticky. This stuff will stay where I put it. And when you're putting this together with a dry cylinder, you want something that's going to hang out there and give those seals some lubrication while we get it all assembled. So I'm going to leave these taped up pig mats on the rods. So we're going to assemble this nut with a little blue Loctite. Ah, shoot. This goes in there first. I know you were probably screaming at me telling me to do that before now. Luckily, I realized it quick. There we go. And we'll finish gooing all that up once we get it into the barrel. See if we can get this tight here on the bench. Beautiful. That one is ready to rock and roll. Here we go. That one's ready to rock and roll. Start getting this assembled. Good, we're in. All right, I'm gonna get that tight. We're gonna move on to the other cylinder. Pig mats to the rescue. I might have to file off some jaw marks, but if I can avoid it, I'm gonna try. You know, I'm gonna tape these onto this thing. Just try not to mark them up, because I already cleaned them up. Still might mark them up, but lots of uses for these pig mats. I think we got it pretty dang good. Yep, it's seated right against that gland. Beautiful. All right, now we got our nylon plug that goes in there. And then our set screw goes right after it. I'm gonna just make sure this is seated, and then we're gonna pull it back out and put some blue Loctite on it. I don't know if you're actually supposed to do this or not, but sometimes I like to take and heat that up, melt it. And then put the plug in. And it seems to seat in there better. Throw a little blue on there. Good enough for me. Huh. Why there's so many threads? I guess it was that way, but guess I didn't really pay attention to that. There's a lot of threads on this side, like 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, and there's only 1, 2 on the other side. Just make sure that is seated all the way up there. Yep, it's all the way up. Beautiful. So one nice thing about the cylinders on this machine is they're all identical in that the seals, the glands, the piston, and all the seals that go in them are exactly the same. The only difference is it had this spacer ring in there, and I'm not sure if this is for not allowing it to overextend or if it's a dampener situation. It's metal, which I don't love because I don't like metal on metal, but I will say that the rods on these loader arm cylinders are 1,000 times better than the ones for the bucket tilt. And so, you know, I'm not going to change anything. We're going to put it back exactly how it was. I'm not going to show you tearing these apart. It's exactly the same as we've already seen. So I'll get these all rebuilt, cleaned up, put back together. There's no real filing that I have to do. The glands, the pistons, even the nuts themselves. I might do a little filing around here where I got it with the pipe wrench, but they're in really good shape compared to the other two. The other two are the ones that take most of the damage anyway. So I'm going to get those all set up. I'll bring you back when we're ready to put them in. Beautiful. That went in there great. I'm going to get the set screw and the nylon plug in there. And then this one will be done. The rods on these two cylinders were just absolutely perfect. Not a ding in them anywhere. Which kind of makes sense because they ride right in here. And when they extend out, they're not really down where the work is being done. They're kind of just in this area. And most of the time when the loader arm is down, most of the cylinder is retracted. And so it's not in harm's way. If not, almost all the chrome, I think, stays retracted when the arms are down, which is great. Amazing. Good girl. Yeah, you're a good girl. All right, well, all four of the main cylinders are rebuilt, put back together, and now we're going to dive into, in the cab, there's the two cylinders for the steering. And they are leaking pretty bad, so let's jump into that. We'll get those torn out. I've got kits for them. We'll put those back in. All right, so now we're under the cab here. These are the two steering assist cylinders. There's one side here and one side there. I believe one is for going straight forward and back, and the other one is for turning left and right. All right, to get them out, got to take off this hydraulic hose there, one over on that side, that bolt, and a corresponding bolt over here on this other side. Back right there. Yeah, it's not too complicated. And that whole mechanism will lift out, and I'm going to take them out together. found a cap. Plug this line. These are the steering boost control cylinders. Essentially what they do is they help the T-bars actuate the action for turning left and right and going forward and back. So we're going to pull a few pieces off of them, get down to just the bare body itself, and then we'll dive into rebuilding these, because this is where it's leaking really bad. Right here, right here. Shouldn't be too big of a deal. But some of this stuff, like, I just have the hardware put back in to make it easy for me to remember where it went. All right, let's see if we can tear one of these down. I have no idea how to take it apart. The parts manual is useless. It literally shows the fitting here, the body, all of the bolting mechanisms, and then it says seal kit, and does not break down how this thing comes apart or lays or goes together. So we're going to go with the simple. There's a snap ring right here. We're going to pull that, and I'm betting this whole cylinder mechanism comes out. We'll find out. These are not getting opening enough, so bend that a slight bit more. There's a seal, outer seal right there. There's an O-ring here. Got a spring washer right there. And this is the piston. And so that has probably the main pressure seal right there. So we'll get that nut off there, and we should be able to disassemble, get that new seal in, and get the seal on this. I'm not sure if there's anything behind this. There might be an O-ring right back there. Looks good in there. No scoring, no damage to the bore. Great sign. So I don't know how this one comes out, other than there's a set screw here, set screw there, and on this side, set screw here, set screw here, set screw there, and set screw here. So we're probably just going to start taking it apart and figuring it out. All right, so I got that main cylinder out. This is literally like a valve. It just opens and closes like that. And none of these set screws do anything to help us get that out. I think the way it comes out is there's two jam nuts here and a spacer there. I think if we take the collar off, the two jam nuts and the spacer, this whole middle piece will slide that way. So I took a blue paint pen, I marked there's 6.5 threads showing right there in the middle there. So I'm going to try and count as I take this off, but I don't know exactly. I want to get it as close to where it was or where it is right now as I can, just due to the fact that it'll be easier to put back together. So we're going to put a wrench on this. And then these are 1/2 inch, but I want to try and get that collar broke free first. Set screw there, or lock nut. I think what I need to do is I need to put 2 nuts on this side here so I can hold the shaft, because these two are not lining up with each other, those jam nuts, and this one is just spinning the jam nut for the actual linkage. Let me see what I can find. Get these threads a little cleaner. Actually, I don't need to do that. This shaft has 2 flats on it. Right there. Come on, baby. Alright, so we got that off. This is the jam nut for the linkage. So now I want to count threads. So we got 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, let's see, 18, 19, 20, 21 and a half. So these nuts need to be 21 and a half threads from the end, and they'll be in the right place. Because once we take these jam nuts off, we might lose our paint, and we might lose any kind of ability to clock that. So I'm going to write that down. All right, I counted again. It's actually 22 and a half. So I marked that. There we go. That's the internal. So that little seal right there is what we were after getting to. And then there's a oil seal here and another oil seal right there. That one's definitely falling apart. I think that's everything we need to get out. The bore looks great. This thing looks good. Other than, you know, these are the external side of it, so it's really not, that's not a big deal. This all in here is what is doing the moving. All right, right here we've got an oil seal, another seal, and an actual pressure seal in there. I can get this out. Here we go. There's our little oil seal. Alright, here's the main piston. There is no O-ring in there, just whatever. There's probably an O-ring underneath this yellow seal there. And this would be the gland. There's a dust shield in there and an actual oil seal down below it. So we need to get those two out of that, and those two will be replaced by these two. Yep, O-ring right underneath. Here we go. Interesting, there's a snap ring in there. Huh. I wouldn't have expected that. And then a washer. So probably because the seal is so small that to get it in there, you have to take the snap ring out, pull the washer out, put the seal in, then reverse it. Put the washer back on, the snap ring back in. Interesting. There we go. Yep. There's our seal. Here's our replacement. And this is an O-ring style where the actual flanged end has an O-ring in it. The old one, I don't think it does. It does not. Or maybe it does. Yeah, it does. Okay. All right, here's our breakdown. So every one of the seals, the new ones are below them. And if you look right in here, see if I can get you a better light. If you look right in there, I think there was a lot of water getting in there. And I think that is where the main hydraulic leak is, because every one of the other ones didn't look as bad as that does. So the way it works is, on that end, this shaft basically comes through the other side, and this little collar rides right there. Well, this seal goes on that collar, and then this thing should move on that shaft. So it's barely a press fit, because it's moving just a slight bit. And I'm pretty sure that just a little rubber flange that's on this seal eventually just gave up and quit working. So all the other seals were fairly brittle, but I wouldn't say they'd failed. I think we were leaking quite a bit of fluid right out there, and then we were leaking some down here in this area. So I'm betting this O-ring might have been getting a little bit kind of shrunk and wasn't sealing well. I'm going to get everything cleaned up, and then we'll put it back together. All right, let's start putting it together. So this seal here goes on this. Both sides are identical, so it doesn't matter which way, as long as I get it straight in that groove. Okay, done with that one. And this thing rides right there. This one, the new O-ring goes right here. The new seal here. Make sure you got the flange end with the O-ring facing towards the pressure, which is down. Got the washer, snap ring, that's ready. Done with that one. Done with that one. Got the little piston here. O-ring goes first. Then the actual seal. These can be tough. Stretch them just a little bit. Then you can work them on a little easier. They will retract back to their original size. So that one's done. We'll let that sit. So then on top of this one, got this dust seal. That. There we go. There we go. I'll wipe this down, get it all nice and clean. And then this is ready to go in. Set that there. Snap ring. Then on this bad boy, got this dust seal here. Found a better socket. This actually fits right down in there. Alright, got a little internal seal here. Get one end started. There we go. That took a minute. Dang. we go. That one is rebuilt. Both are fully rebuilt, all connected, sealed up, put back together. We're gonna go take this over, put it in. We're also gonna look at, these are the hydraulic quick connectors, or this is the style that's on that skid steer. And right now, this one, the female side, is leaking, and I've got these two. This one I've kind of cleaned up, put some fluid in it, and it's been holding, so it's not leaking. This one is leaking right down around where it's supposed to make a seal. I put new O-rings in both. These are the male sides. We're going to take this over there, take the other one off, swap this on there, and hopefully it fixes our issue. One thing I can't stand on these old machines is leaks, and yet I have to deal with it because in a lot of cases just don't have the time to deal with every single one of them. All right, gotta appreciate the power of leverage here. Got that one resting on that hammer. See if we can get it loose. Oh, like nothing. There we go. Yeah. I've got pig mats on the floor to catch all that. So we'll swap this fitting over to the other one. And call it good. I want to get a new one of these plugs to keep the dirt out. Bingo. Well, it turns out that threads are not the same. This style is, I think, a JIC style with an actual locking O-ring, sealing O-ring. It works fine on this one. It won't fit on that one. Now, what I did was I took, and you can push the plunger in and kind of try and almost lap the seat some just by trying to clean it up. And right now I've got just some real thin oil sitting in it, and I want to see how quick it leaks out, if it leaks out. I did kind of push the plunger down, clean up around in there. We'll see what happens. Doesn't look like it's in terrible shape, but it does leak. So unfortunate that I can't make something I already had work, but I won't get rid of these. I'll hang on to them. We may need them for something else. I know that there's a totally different style of connector that doesn't use this open port. I don't even know what these are called versus the other style, but I like this style. I think they work really well. Yes, they can become problematic. Yes, you have to keep them clean, and the other style is designed to not have to worry about that, but I've had good luck with them, and until I get a bunch of attachments where I actually need the auxiliary hydraulics and decide to go the different route, I'm just going to stick with this. So we'll do a little cleanup on this. Maybe we can make it not leak anymore. We'll find out. Painted the cylinders black. And let's get these back in. All right, well, there we go. We got both the steering cylinders fully rebuilt, installed. I cleaned up a bunch of stuff. I put some anti-seize on some different areas, tightened up some other loose stuff. There were a few bushings in a few of these locations, like here and on the other side, that I actually replaced with some different metal bushings that fit better and take up some of the slop. There's still slop in it. You know, you got a little bit of play, but it's good enough for now. Got all the cylinders rebuilt, put back together. All 4 for the loader and the 2 for the steering. Let's go ahead and get the cab back down, fire it up. We'll cycle all the air out of it, and we'll see if we've got any leaks. Leaks absolutely anywhere. I have not seen a single drip. Great success. Very nice. I don't think we need these anymore. Set up here, we're going to pressure wash all the grime and the grease and all the oil that's leaked out and drain back down into the belly pan, causing it to get all the dust collected. Got the belly pan off and the back door out, took the battery out. Yeah, let's get it all clean. Man, that guy's getting on it. Wow. So Ryan's gonna spray degreaser, and then he's gonna go to town. He's got the pants on. All right, there we have it. Had it all pressure washed. Everything looking clean. We're gonna get the air hose out and dry it all off. As you can see the metal again. Yeah, looking good. Well, that went about as easy as it possibly could. You know, I've had some tough hydraulic cylinders over the years, but those were not tough. And you know, the thing about doing that kind of thing is that it's not rocket science to be able to rebuild some hydraulic cylinders. And so I encourage you, if you've got a project like that or you've got something you don't quite know if you can do, just jump in and give it a shot. Try, make an effort. You know, not only might you save yourself some money in the long run, but you also might learn that, hey, I'm capable of more than what I thought. And that's kind of a defining thing in my life, is that I am always trying to push myself and trying to find ways to learn new things, new skills, new tasks. You know, because I've learned over the years, I can do anything so long as I'm willing to give it a try. As always, your support here at Salvage Workshop is absolutely incredible, and I truly appreciate it. So thank you for watching the videos, and thank you for supporting Salvage Workshop. Lots more to come. All kinds of projects are in the works. So stick around for lots more content here at Salvage Workshop. Thanks as always. I'll catch you guys on the next one.